From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board to reconvene. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Peters.
Here.
Supervisor Scribner.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, November 16th, 9 a.m. meeting of the Kern County Board of Supervisors. We'll begin today's meeting with a flag salute led by Supervisor Mike Maggard. Following the Pledge of Allegiance, please stay standing for a moment of prayer, silence, or meditation, whichever you prefer. Next, I would like to call on Nick Coleman, Director of the Animal Services Department, to introduce our Pet of the Week.
I'm doing well. Blythe is having a rough day.
Oh, man. Tell us a little bit about her.
So quick story, you know, we're a public animal shelter, obviously.
Right.
So we're mandated to take dogs, stray dogs from the public, so we can't pick and choose which animals come to us.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, the animals that you see here at the board are perfectly adoptable and are almost guaranteed a home. Well, occasionally we would like to show you some of the dogs that we have trouble finding placement for, and Blythe is one of those. So she's 14 years old. She came to us just a couple of days ago. She's almost completely blind. She has trouble hearing. She's actually missing a part of her bottom jaw, so most of the food that she eats has to be liquefied. And yet she's super active. I mean, she bumps into things, but she's super active. And she's still got some spunk in her, so, you know, we have a program called Fospice for people that are willing to foster an animal. That's sort of a hospice care. So anybody that's willing to foster her for the remaining years of her life, hopefully years of her life, or anybody willing to permanently adopt her, she's going to make somebody a cool pet just to hang out with. And the blind and the hard of hearing and the jaw, they don't really slow her down. So, but she's not usually 14 years. So that's why we always wonder. She came in as a stray, but to get this far at this age and be well taken care of for the most part, somebody must have cared for her for a period
Absolutely. Of time. Well, that's. I'm glad you brought her down. It makes you think about some of the ones that might not get the same care that some of the other ones do. But hopefully we can get somebody that'll give her a home. I appreciate you coming down.
Thank you.
Should have named her Lucky.
Right.
Okay, next we will consider the consent agenda. All items listed with a CA above the items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion. If members of the public wish to comment or ask questions regarding an item on the consent agenda, they may do so prior to a vote being taken. Members of the board may remove any item from the consent agenda, and it will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. Members of the public may also comment on any closed session items. At this time, I'll read the consent agenda item numbers. And that is items 4 through 7 on page 2, 8 through 15 on page 3, 16 through 22 on page 4, 23 through 29 on page 5, and lastly 30 through 32 on page 6. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to speak regarding the consent agenda? Would any members of the board like an item removed for discussion?
I'll move approval of the consent agenda, Chairman.
Thank you. Great. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Okay, the board will now hear item number 1, proclaiming December 2021 as the 34th annual holiday Cottage Month in Kern County. Is there a motion to approve?
Thank you, Chairman. Proudly asking my colleagues to join me in proclaiming December 2021 as the 34th annual holiday Cottage Month in Kern County. That's a motion.
Great, thank you. Is there a second? Please cast your votes.
Hadn't done one in a while. I got a little rusty there.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
That's a fun one. Good morning, Chairman Peters and members of the board. Today we're proclaiming December 2021 as the 34th annual holiday Cottage Month in Kern County. 34 years ago, our Department of Human Services established the Holiday Cottage to fulfill the holiday wishes of children living in foster care. I was reminding my chief of staff a moment ago, because we grew up with lots of foster children, that it really was the one day of the year that we were incredibly jealous and envious of the kids in our home that got really, really nice stuff that they actually wanted. We really sat in envy for some time about it. And, you know, I think that is such an interesting little footnote, if you will. Children in foster care have been abused or neglected and can range in age from newborn to 18 years old. They are often siblings, some with special needs, and most have been through traumatic experiences of being separated from their families and not loved. The Holiday Cottage provides gifts to children in foster care who may not be with their families during the holiday season. These gifts can be the only hope and encouragement some people may receive. There are over 1,000 Kern County children living in foster care, 1,000, that are asked what they wish for during the holidays. We are fortunate that here in Kern County, our generous community provides gifts to children so they can experience the joy of the holidays. I want to commend Dina Murphy, our Director of Human Services, and the Holiday Cottage for organizing and providing this much-needed service to the foster children of Kern County. I remember once taking my son Jude, I'd gotten up on the tree, a request from a little boy named Antonio, and he wanted a new bike. So Jude and I went and got a new bike, and we, along with my husband, went to the East Hills Mall to bring the bike to Antonio, or leave it there and then for you folks to deliver it in a respectful and dignified way. Well, we were excited to be teaching Jude about giving, in particular sacrificial giving, because that's real. And we wanted to teach him that. And so we got in the car, and as we were driving to East Hills Mall, he begins to talk about this, how excited he is to give Antonio what he wanted, and Antonio's probably a good kid, and probably Antonio's just like him. And it's just as we're pulling into East Hills Mall, he says, "I'm gonna let Antonio play with the bike one full day." And I said, "Well, how generous of you." And I said, "Well, it's not how it works. We're going to give." It was actually Jude's bike that we gave, and I said, "Actually, we're going to give it to him. He can play with it every day." And frankly, that was hard for him to do, and it was hard for us too, because we don't want to see them ever hurt about anything. But what an incredible lesson! And I still have the video of him, taking it in and struggling, right, with doing the right thing, because he's a kid, right? But those are such wonderful age to teach them about giving, sacrificial giving in particular, when it hurts a little, right? Because it's a process, right, of learning to give and learning to not be totally consumed with ourselves, which, nothing good there. I appreciate what you do to teach us how to give and to teach our young ones how to give. Nicole, my chief of staff, and Thomas go and pick out a gift, and they do the same thing. So I want to thank you for the lessons that are being learned here about people, children, right, who at least they have this to look forward to, many of whom, really struggle. So thank you. I join my colleagues today in proclaiming this December as 34th annual Holiday Cottage Month in Kern County with the hopes of making the holidays brighter for foster children in our community. And I want to give this to you, Cindy Utes, you guardian angel of this community, and all of the team behind you. But Board of Supervisors, County of Kern, State of California officially proclaims December 2021 and the 34th Annual Holiday Cottage Month in Kern County. Recognition has been entered into the official board minutes and signed by our honorable and wonderful chair, Philip Peters. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good morning, Chairman Peters, members of the board, and thank you, Supervisor Perez, and for that wonderful story. The thing that makes Holiday Cottage a little different than other programs is that you do get to pick out a particular gift for a particular child who has asked for, like she said, this is on their wish list. And so, as she said, my name is Cindy Utes, and I'm the Chief Deputy Director for the Department of Human Services. And I'm here today to provide a little information about our Holiday Cottage program. As she said, we're honored to be celebrating this, our 34th year of the Holiday Cottage program. So this fulfills wishes for children in foster care, which is so needed at this time of the year where they've been separated from their families, through no fault of their own, and they're, we take care of them through these wishes. On Wednesday, we actually officially launched the Holiday Cottage. We mailed out the wishes to the foster families, and so far we have received about 700 wishes back. And so we're going to be very busy trying to fill all those wishes. We'll get them all. Last year in 2020, we filled every single wish that we received, and so this year, we'll do the same thing.
Thank you for that.
It's a wonderful feeling, and like she said, it's really precious to see the joy that you can provide to the kids who may not have received something otherwise. As we head into this holiday season, so we would like to invite you in the community to join us in the giving at our Holiday Cottage. This year, we're doing it a little different. You may remember, as you said, we would usually have a space where you would come and pick out a wish. We're doing it virtually this year. And to view some of the wishes that we have collected from children, you can go to our website at www.kcdhs.org. You'll click on the gingerbread house, and then the list of the children's wishes will pull up for you. You fill out a form saying, this is the wish I'd like to buy. And like she said, they range from bikes to books to sometimes shoes, clothing, a special doll, that type of thing. And the ages are there and the names of the child. And we know sometimes in the past, people have kind of followed a particular child. They maybe know that his name was David and age 6 and now, age 7. And so it's kind of special that way. We're also graciously accepting any monetary donations. $50 approximately will fill one wish. And to contribute monetarily, and it is tax deductible, you can go to our Kern Partnership website, www.kernpartnership.com, and click on the Give Here button. So we're trying it a little differently because to limit our in-person gatherings, but we know we'll be successful. Our department would like to thank the community and your board for this steadfast support throughout our 34 years of the Holiday Cottage. And because of the generous donations, we have been able to provide thousands of gifts to children, foster children at Christmas time, and who are without their families this holiday season. So it does really bring some brightness to their lives. It's truly an honor to be a part of this program, and I just want to thank you so much for this proclamation and for celebrating and your support of the 34th Annual Holiday Cottage. So thank you.
Thank
and
you.
thank you.
Thank you for your work.
Okay, the board will now consider item number 2, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter not on this agenda, but under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask questions for clarification, make referrals to staff for factual information, or request staff to report back to the board at a later meeting. Also, the board may take action to direct staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. Speakers are limited to 2 minutes. Please state and spell your name before making your presentation.
Good morning, Chairman Peters and Board of Supervisors. My name is Francisco Martinez. I'm an 18-year county employee and CPS. In my department alone, being overworked, underfunded, and working under a heavy caseload has serious impacts on retention, but I know my department is not the exception. When negotiations started 2 years ago, the bargaining team reported back that the county said that they do not see wage increase for county workers as our priority. When I first heard this 2 years ago, I assumed it was a crude summation of the budget constraints that the county has perpetuated in the last year, explaining why no county bargaining teams are receiving wage increases. But then in July in Bakersfield, California, it was reported that a booming real estate market overcame a slump in oil prices to lead to the highest ever assessed value for properties in Kern County, the assessment office reports. And then with the Google search this morning, there are many financial articles reporting oil hitting a seven-year high in October, and expected to be traded for $80 a barrel for the rest of the year. When negotiations restarted again and the county gave their second last best and final offer, the bargaining team reported again that the county said again that the wages for county workers is not a priority. Now I see this most evident by the county's insistence that we give up the Me Too clause to accept the current proposal. This signals to me that the Board of Supervisors is ready to give substantial wage increases to other bargaining units, but not to give substantial wage increases to county workers represented by SEIU 521. We have a situation in CPS. Yesterday, we have a resignation from an employee. Last week we had one. The week before we have another. I've spoken to 2 CPS social workers that, the less than 5 years experience, all of these folks, they're not gonna come back next year. I've met with the office of Perez and Couch. Thank you. I got a response from Mega's office last week. My ask, in conclusion, to meet with the office of Peters and Scribner to really discuss my concern for CPS in the future, present and the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have our next speaker, please.
Good morning, Supervisor Chair, Board of Supervisors. My name is Kim Bean, K-I-M. B-E-A-N. I am a constituent of Mr. Maggard. I am here because I want to voice my opposition to the closing of Campus Pharmacy, KMC Campus Pharmacy, and Sage Rest Plaza Pharmacy. When I initially heard that they were closing, I was concerned about how that affected me and my husband and my family. We've been with them for 10 years, and they have done amazing things for my family. Customer service is amazing. But then I realized that I really needed to speak about the marginalized in our community, because they're the ones who are going to be really impacted more than my family, because we have resources. Annually, these pharmacies dispense over 155,000 outpatient prescriptions for approximately 13,000 Kern County residents. Being able to easily access necessary medication after being seen in the outpatient clinics or being discharged from the hospital is not just a convenience. For many of these clients, resources such as transportation, funds for co-pays, etc., may be extremely limited or non-existent. This may result in delayed therapy for some and may be life-threatening for others. Our homeless population and those with mental health issues are surely to be adversely impacted by this. My husband is a retired Kern County He worked for Kern County for 23 years in the building department. He actually was the building official on this building. We know the constraints you all have, and we appreciate it. I respectfully ask that you consider keeping these pharmacies open. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have our next speaker, please.
Thank you for in God we trust, and to our honorable chairman and our first lady and our board. The Lord tells us we should honor our leaders, and so we should all be honorable, and I thank you for allowing me to stand before great honor, which is yourself. My name is Curtis James Bingham Sr., street evangelist of our Lord and Savior, God Almighty, Jesus Christ, who truly is the only begotten Son of our Holy Heavenly Father, God Almighty. Before the Lord destroyed the first world, he said the world was filled with violence. Bloodshed was everywhere. And the Lord said when he got ready to come back, it's going to be the same way. Well, we there right now, except it's worse because there's more of us. And I also wanted to make note, the greatest way you can disrespect those of God's son here to protect us is law enforcement. Whenever you talk about defunding them, taking their money, that's one of the greatest disrespects, dishonors you can do to them. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to do, considering going out there with the job they do. Whenever the public go to thinking that the government is with them, look what they're doing. See, it don't backfire. Now there's evil everywhere. Seattle's saying they got to take all the county workers and walk them to their little transportation to get home now. And that was just yesterday on our news. You know, because evil is running everywhere. And so what I'm here for to say is, anything you can do for somebody that's hated because they go chase bad guys, that's the law enforcement. That's how people feel. And they call millionaire makers. A lot of people want to get involved with them on purpose because you can get to millions if you can get one of them to hit you out of order. I'm praying for that tank, not just one, but it would be nice if you could give them more than one tank, a couple of tanks, just to show appreciation, and along with that tank, a big fat check. These evil individuals out there, they got more money than banks. Why do you think they don't go away? See, and that's what law enforcement fighting. They don't have enough money to get out there and fight. We at home relaxed. They're out there risking their life. I would pray with your authority, ability that you have, just to show appreciation to them, if it could be more than just one tank. They need the power to show these people out there, criminals, we ain't playing, and a nice big fat check to go along with it so they can get out there and wrestle with these criminals. It's bad out there. It is bad out there. I'm a grown man, not scary, but I got to watch my step every time I go out there. Everybody got a gun. Step on their feet, look at them wrong. You see the news? We done passed our death record now. See, so our law enforcement, when they come in kind enough to ask for help, break your neck and give it to them, and God Almighty Jesus Christ will surely bless you back, because Romans chapter 13 says law enforcement are his ministers. And so I just thank you guys and appreciate it. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay.
And it's not a tank, but we do have on the consent agenda an armored personnel carrier for the Sheriff's Department today, so it's a step in the right direction.
Good morning, Chairman Peters and members of the board. My name is Ignacio Morales. It's spelled I-G-N-A-C-I-O. Morales, M-O-R-A-L-E-S. Okay. I'm a senior code enforcement officer with the city of Bakersfield, a resident of the city of Wasco, and a proud member of SEIU 521. I am here today to stand with my sisters and brothers who work for the county of Kern and ask this board to invest into the public services that they provide. As a resident of Wasco, I see firsthand the wonderful work that our county employees strive to accomplish. Sheriff's deputies are an example. At the same time, I also see the areas that we must invest in. As a topic, homelessness has touched every corner of the county, and Wasco is no different. The lack of action from this board to implement logical, ethical, and effective measures to deal with the homeless issues is concerning, to say the least, from taxpayers like myself. As an employee of the city, I can see the problem is systematic. City employees rely on county workers to do jobs that only the county provides. Speaking again to the homeless issue, we especially need investments into the services work that populations such as social services, behavioral health, and public health. Cities do not provide these services, and when the county does not adequately invest, city and county employees on all levels are negatively affected. Solid waste, code enforcement, recreation and parks, maintenance, and more are having to work harder and in less safe conditions due to county's lack of investment into these services. I implore you, as a taxpayer and civil servant, invest in your constituents by investing into the services that we rely on. Thank you for your time. I appreciate this.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Would you mind giving your contact information to our CAO I would like to, you said you lived in Wasco, correct?
That is correct.
I would like to talk with you if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Could we have our next speaker, please?
Hi, I'm Tawana Quinn, Towyanna Quinn, Quinn. I'm a voter in Supervisors Perez District. I'm here to say that I'm urging the board and supervisors to act fast and keep the Kern Medical Pharmacy open. This pharmacy is not simply a business. It provides the public service people like myself. I am not only speaking for myself, I am also speaking for the thousands of others who use this pharmacy. Without this one-stop shop the pharmacy provides for people who are also in my situation, many will struggle to get their services need. I want to thank those of you who agreed to meet with the workers and discuss possible situations. We have to act fast. Your community is counting on you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Could we have our next speaker, please?
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Cherie Ancheta, C-H-E-R-I, last name Ancheta, A-N-C-H-E-T-A. I'm a voter in Supervisor Maggart's district. I work at Kern Medical Pharmacy, and I'm speaking again to thank Supervisor Couch for being the first to schedule a meeting to discuss the solutions to keep the pharmacies from closing, which will hurt over 13,000 community members who use these facilities. I'm using a printed thing, sorry. So, I also would like to thank Supervisors Peter, Maggard, and Perez for committing to meet with us soon. Your staff even let us know that they are customers of our pharmacy. Lastly, I would like to personally ask Supervisor Scribner and Alsop to please consider meeting with us as well. I want to stress the sense of urgency that is needed to be able to allow these pharmacies to continue to serve the public. Myself, my coworkers, and even patients have spoke about the unique services and medicine that we provide. Since March, I've been having to look these sick patients in the face every day and tell them I'm sorry. You're going to have to figure out how you're going to get your medications. How are they going to get that life-saving medication elsewhere? It's hard. Could you imagine being told to go on a scavenger hunt to find multiple places in search of a rare medication for diseases like valley fever? I implore you all, let's meet to find a solution before it's too late. You have the power right now to get together with CEO Judd and make this happen. When we met with him, my coworkers, myself, and part of the staff here, in March and April, he offered to share some of the cost. Let's take him up on that offer. I'm ready to meet today if you are. Let's not drag our feet on this. These community members are counting on you. We close our doors December 31st unless you do something quick. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Could we have our next speaker, please? Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll now move on to item number 3, and that is, sure.
Thank you for coming. I know how important that pharmacy is. It's been a pillar for my family personally. This stuff is as much emotional as it is practical. The family of people that take care of patients there, the style, method, and mannerism that care and love is given there is I just think so special and so precious. And I thank you so much for what you do there. Ryan and I were talking extensively about this yesterday. He, of course, is deeply enmeshed in it. He knows how important it is. We had a lengthy conversation and talked about some options that I'd love to get together with you and talk with you about. Right now is not the appropriate time. It's not agendized. But I appreciate your passion and your heart. You've consistently told us what this means to you, and I know personally what it means. And Ryan is well aware well aware of my personal story involving the pharmacy and how important it is to so many people in this community. So I please know that this is very important. It's very delicate. Ryan and I talked at length about it yesterday, and we are moving on, doing everything we possibly can, and I'd love to get together with you ASAP. So my staff will schedule that, and I just want you to know it's top priority for our CAO. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. Next item is number 3, board member announcements or reports. And I would like to begin by acknowledging the recent passing of Mr. Don Carroll Pollard Jr. Don was a big part of the farming community in Buttonwillow for many years and was well known and loved by many folks here in Kern County and will be greatly missed. So I would ask that we adjourn today's meeting in his honor. So next, I would like to begin by calling up on Director of Public Health, Bryn Kerrigan, to share an update with the board on the COVID-19 pandemic.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As of today, our case rate is 21.3. Last week, it was 27.2. As of today, we have 207 hospitalizations and 50 ICU patients. This time last week, we had 227 hospitalizations and 55 patients in the ICU. As of yesterday, Kern County's hospital system had 200 staffable available regular hospital beds and 33 staffable available ICU beds. Kern's ICU capacity is 11.7%, and the San Joaquin region's ICU capacity is 13.7%. The drop in our case rate has had a positive impact on the state's modeling projections. The worst case scenario in the state's modeling continues to suggest a significant surge in early February, peaking with 615 cases on February 16th and 483 hospitalizations on February 23rd. The moderate case scenario suggests a plateau with cases holding steady at around 40 daily cases starting in early January and continuing through early August, and hospitalizations holding steady at around 43 hospitalizations starting in early January and also continuing through early August. The best case scenario suggests a steady continual decrease in disease transmissions with hospitalizations bottoming out in March 2022. As of yesterday, 902,037 doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have been administered to Kern County residents. 416,225, or 55.2% of Kern's 12 and older population, or 48.7% of our 5 and older population, have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. Another 52,713 people have 1 dose of their 2-dose series, meaning 62.2% of Kern's 12 and older population, or 54.9% of our 5 and older population is at least partially vaccinated. 74.7% of our 65 and older population are fully vaccinated. 43.2% of our 12 to 17-year-old population is fully vaccinated, and 3,111 doses have been administered to our 5 to 11-year-old population. Over the last 3 weeks, more than 18,000 doses were administered to Kern County residents each week, which are administration rates higher than we've seen since the week of March 17th, 2021. According to the California Department of Public Health, during the period of October 25th through October 31st, unvaccinated Californians were 6.9 times more likely to get COVID-19 than fully vaccinated Californians. Unvaccinated Californians were 9.8 times more likely to be hospitalized with COVID-19 than vaccinated Californians. And unvaccinated Californians are 16.9 times more likely to die from COVID-19 than fully vaccinated Californians. Kern's average daily case rate over the past 14 days is 21.17. Our vaccinated average daily case rate is 3.71, while our unvaccinated average daily case rate is 34.81. Over the last 14 days, 92.3% of our cases were amongst those who are unvaccinated. Since January 21st, Kern County has had 61,577 cases, with 57,847, or 93.94%, being amongst those who are unvaccinated, and 3,730, or 6.06%, being amongst those who are fully vaccinated. 0.91% of our fully vaccinated population has tested positive for COVID-19. During this same time period, we've had 2,791 COVID-related hospitalizations. 2,636, or 94.45%, are in those who are unvaccinated, and 155, or 5.5%, are in those who are vaccinated. 0.038% of our vaccinated population has been hospitalized with COVID-19. We've identified 1,126 individuals who have had positive tests more than 90 days from their initial positive test. This equates to 0.73% of our residents who have had COVID-19 that have been reinfected, as compared to 0.91% of our vaccinated population who has had a post-vaccination infection. There have been 136 individuals who have been reinfected with COVID-19 who were hospitalized during one or more of their COVID-19 illnesses. 52 were only hospitalized during their first infection, 58 were only hospitalized during their second infection, and 26 were hospitalized during both infections. Those who were hospitalized during their second infection or following some level of development of natural immunity totals 84, or 0.054% of Kern County's population who has had COVID-19. For comparison, 0.038% of our vaccinated population has been hospitalized. On November 9th, California Department of Public Health issued a letter indicating that patients should be allowed to self-determine their risk of exposure to COVID-19, and that any patient over 18 who has met the 6-month vaccination series time period for Moderna or Pfizer, or the 2-month time period for their Johnson & Johnson vaccine should not be turned away for the booster, meaning that now all Californians 18 or older meeting the time period requirement for their original vaccination type are now eligible for booster doses. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Kerrigan? Okay. Supervisor Perez.
How do you feel the vaccination of our young people is going? We talked last time about my having gone. I thought it was an excellent operation. How do you feel about where we're at?
Supervisor Perez, through the chair, I'm feeling good about where we're at. Overall, the statewide population, we've seen 0.4% of the 5 to 11 population statewide being vaccinated. And here in Kern County, we've had 0.3%. So we are right there neck and neck with the state, which we haven't seen rates like that since we've started vaccinating our residents.
Thank you for everything you're doing. And to your team, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Maggard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Kerrigan, could you, I realize I didn't give you a heads up about this, so it's fine to come back another next week or whenever we next meet about it, but our congregant facilities, mainly our skilled nursing facilities, that's also the case for jails and prisons and things like that. But could you give us some sense of how it's going now? We put many safeguards and procedures in place to try to protect those people who are inside those facilities. Certainly they're not causing the disease inside there, it's being brought into them. So could you give us some sense of how that's going and come back with some kind of a report on if our measures have been effective, and if not, what do we need to tweak a little bit?
Supervisor Maggard, through the chair, absolutely. We have a presentation prepared for your board in January to talk specifically about the skilled nursing facilities, but I think that you will all be very excited to see what our efforts have done. The third surge has been just a complete 180 from the first and second surges as far as disease outbreak, disease transmission, and deaths within those facilities. We've seen very little activity inside those facilities and with the residents, and so we are extremely proud of all the work that we did in those facilities and continue to make an effort to ensure that vaccination remains available for those residents as they are brought into those facilities not being vaccinated before.
That's good news, very good news. When will we know if we are moving along the path to the worst case scenario that could be a real problem? I think January is when that was predicted to happen. Can you give us some sense of that?
Absolutely. Supervisor Maggard, through the chair, the modeling suggests for the next month, in fact, until the late part of December, that we'll continue to see a decrease in our cases. So we'll continue to monitor that and see how much our cases do decrease and see how the modeling changes over the next month to see if it continues to predict that we will see that surge that is projected to peak in February. So I'll continue to keep you all updated on what those projections look like as time progresses.
Very good. Thank you for that. Thank you for your leadership and all the folks that are helping with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Maggard. Any other questions for Ms. Kerrigan? Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other reports or referrals from the board? Okay, seeing none and having no more items to consider, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session to consider items 33 and 34 under the County Administrative Office, as well as items 35 through 39 under the Office of County Counsel. Without objection, we are adjourned in honor of Don Pollard, Jr.
Landing Research Vehicle, or LLRV. To compensate for the gravitational and atmospheric differences between the Earth and the Moon, the LLRV was equipped with a gimbaled jet engine that produced enough thrust to counterbalance 5/6 of its weight, thereby simulating 1/6 gravity of the Moon.